Imagine this. You're a business traveler, just checked into your hotel, maybe ordering room service. You get an alert. Your personal data, along with that of 500 million other people, has been stolen. This isn't a movie plot. This was the reality for 500 million Marriott guests in November 2018. But this wasn't your typical smash and grab CyberAttack. The story is far more complex, and frankly, far more chilling. Today, we're diving deep into the hack that exposed 500 million travelers. We'll uncover how a single traveler stumbled upon one of the largest data breaches in history, revealing a security failure that had been festering for years. This wasn't just about credit card numbers. We're talking names, passport details, travel histories. A goldmine of personal information. So, grab a seat, and let's unravel how this massive operation stayed hidden in plain sight. The story begins not in 2018, but 4 years earlier. In 2014, long before Marriott even announced its merger with Starwood Hotels, hackers had already breached the gates. They weren't loud or flashy. Instead, they moved like ghosts through Starwood's reservation systems. Think of it like a silent infiltration. They weren't looking for a quick payday. They were playing the long game. For 4 years, they meticulously gathered data. Piece by piece, they built detailed profiles on millions of guests. But they weren't just collecting random data. They were specifically targeting high-profile individuals. We're talking diplomats, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and high-ranking government officials. The hackers were essentially creating a detailed dossier on some of the world's most influential people, tracking their movements, who they met with, and where they stayed. This level of detail suggests something far more sinister than simple financial fraud. So, how did they get away with it for so long? The timing was, for them, perfect. At the time, Marriott's tech teams were in the middle of a colossal task, merging the massive IT systems of Marriott and This was a Herculean effort, involving loyalty programs, booking systems, and customer databases. Imagine trying to combine two entirely different libraries into one. While the library is still open to the public, it's organized chaos. The hackers exploited this chaos brilliantly. They operated during system maintenance, Windows, and software updates periods, when unusual network activity might be overlooked or dismissed as part of the integration process. While Marriott's teams were focused on keeping the lights on and making sure your loyalty points transferred correctly, the intruders were quietly setting up shop, embedding themselves deeper and deeper into the network. They used the noise and confusion of the merger as the perfect cover for their activities. It was a masterclass in exploiting corporate distraction. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Typically, when hackers steal this much data, you see it pop up for sale on the dark web almost immediately. Credit card numbers, passport info, it all has a price. But with the Marriott breach, that didn't happen. The data wasn't sold. This is a massive red flag for cybersecurity experts. It tells us the motive wasn't financial gain. When data isn't sold, it usually means it's being used for something else, something more strategic. The most likely culprit, a state-sponsored intelligence operation. The information gathered travel patterns of influential figures, their associates, their routines is invaluable for espionage. It allows a foreign power to track, predict, and potentially influence key individuals. The breach was less of a robbery and more of a long-term surveillance project, designed to gather intelligence on a global scale. The goal wasn't to empty bank accounts, but to gain a strategic advantage on the world stage. By March 2018, just months before the breach was discovered, the hackers' tactics evolved. They had been in the system for years, and their methods became more refined. They transitioned from broad, indiscriminate data collection to highly targeted surveillance. They knew exactly who they were looking for and what information they needed. Instead of just grabbing everything they could, they began to pinpoint specific individuals and extract their data with surgical precision. This change in strategy confirms that this was never about a quick cash grab. It was a long-term, calculated plan. They were refining their collection methods, ensuring they got the most valuable intelligence without raising any alarms. They were essentially curating their stolen data, focusing on quality over quantity. This level of sophistication and patience is a hallmark of a well-funded, state-backed hacking group, not a typical cybercriminal gang. Finally, in November 2018, the house of cards came tumbling down. It all started with a single security alert, triggered by an administrator's query. An internal security tool flagged an unusual attempt to access the Starwood guest reservation database. This one alert prompted an investigation that quickly unraveled the full scale of the 4-year-long intrusion. Marriott's security team, now alerted to the problem, discovered that encrypted data had been siphoned off the network. They managed to decrypt a sample of the stolen files, and the reality of the situation became horrifyingly clear. The personal information of up to 500 million guests had been compromised. The company had to go public, informing its customers and the world that their data had been in the hands of unknown hackers for years. The business traveler who started our story, along with millions of others, was now facing the consequences of a breach that had operated in the shadows for far too long. The aftermath was significant. Marriott faced a massive fine in the UK, totaling nearly £100 million, later reduced to about £18.4 million due to the company's cooperation and the economic impact of the times. More importantly, the breach served as a wake-up call for the entire hospitality industry and beyond. It highlighted the immense vulnerability of large corporations during mergers and the critical need for constant, vigilant cybersecurity, not just periodic checks. This event proved that the biggest threat isn't always the one you see coming. Sometimes, it's the quiet, patient intruder who exploits the chaos of corporate change. It's a stark reminder that in our digital world, personal data is a new form of currency, and for some, it's a tool for power and influence. The story of the Marriott breach is more than just a tale of lost data. It's a modern espionage thriller played out in the servers of one of the world's largest hotel chains. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that uncovers the hidden stories of our digital age. Let me know in the comments what you think. Was this a simple corporate failure, or a sophisticated act of international espionage? Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.